Hey, what's up, guys? So here we are back again. We're at the Python BACnet Stacks playground. So what you're seeing here, this is actually just a dashboard. So I asked OpenClaw to make a building automation system. So what is a building automation system? Or sometimes it's called a building management system, depending on what side of the world you're on. Maybe in Europe or perhaps in South Africa or New Zealand or Australia, you call it a BMS, but sometimes we call it a BAS, in North America. Doesn't matter, same thing. So what is a BAS? So typically it's just a way for maintenance staff operating the building to view the HVAC systems in large commercial buildings. So nowadays it's typically all a web app. I think historically, these were not web apps, but maybe since 2010, everything is browsable. They're all web app based, and a lot of things are even connected to the internet. So it's one of the some of the operations technology industries, like HVAC control, building automation, fire alarm systems. You name it. Typically, industrial control systems that haven't been really touched by AI because historically they're not really plugged into the internet. In my early days of doing building automation work, maybe 2005 or so, I can remember, there'd be computers running Windows 98 in some dusty boiler room, operating the building's HVAC system that haven't ever been touched to the internet. But I think a lot of that has changed. And now perhaps we'll see a radical shift again in building automation. I don't know. But what I wanted to show you is I asked OpenClaw to turn the VOLTTRON framework, which I demoed yesterday, to see if OpenClaw can bootstrap the VOLTTRON framework, which is traditionally it's an IoT framework funded by the Department of Energy, maintained by the Pacific Northwest National Labs, PNNL. They have a team of developers that has maintained that framework for well over 10 years. So it's a Python framework meant for moving data around the internet and doing IoT tasks for smart building. It's been really popular in research. So a lot of researchers have used that framework to demonstrate more advanced optimal start algorithms, trim and respond, guideline 36, you name it, a whole number of things that used a lot in academia, a little bit in IoT world too. Some people use it in the private industry for smart building IoT, so it's powerful. Maybe I should just go to the VOLTTRON GitHub. VOLTTRON GitHub. So this is something that's been around forever. 11,000 commits. So it's a Python framework that's been around for I think it's 2006. I'd be surprised if it's been around that long. But I know that it's been around for at least 10 years, since 2013, 2014 is at least when I started hearing about it. So maybe it's been around longer than that. So VOLTTRON, it's a Python framework for doing more intense IoT tasks. And it has a driver framework for BACnet, which uses Python. It uses the same Python BACnet stacks that we've been playing around with. If you go into scripts, into BACnet, and you can scan the building automation system, that's backpipes. So that's the same thing that we've been using in our Python BACnet stacks playground. This is actually legacy backpipes. So maybe the developers at PNNL will make a plan on updating legacy backpipes, because we've been playing around in backpipes 3, which is the most current version, but it does the same thing. It actually looks really similar too. So this is a script that does whois. So all building automation systems, when you set up the building automation system, you have to learn in all of your BACnet devices and create your driver, your tree, and all your points, all your trends and alarms. So at the moment, VOLTTRON does not do trends. It does trends. It's meant to do trending, but it's not as easy as a building automation system. It requires some really advanced Linux skills. So people with like really advanced IT skill sets, which is different than OT skill sets. It's different than being a building automation technician. I personally found this framework too hard as being a building automation technician. It's just so much Linux. Unless you were like a wizard level Raspberry Pi skills, or or you had an IT background in Linux and you're used to it. It is really cool framework. You can do a lot of cool stuff. So I actually shied away with this because it was kind of hard. But with OpenClaw yesterday, I was like really impressed. Like it made VOLTTRON look easy, and wow, holy crap! So it's like a really powerful framework, and if it just made me think, if AI can easily do this, and I just even shifted the focus of my my Python BACnet Stacks playground repository here. So we've been doing our vibe coding apps. There's still some theory lessons in here in Python where we've gotten to the algorithms section. So we're studying Python. So I've actually shifted this entire workflow. So part of this now is studying BAC0, BACpipes 3. We should even study Modbus, Linux, any generic IoT skills we should study. So like it's even turning into another repository of model contexts. So it's something I was just thinking about before. Some of the other GitHub repositories are just model contexts now. So yeah, this is exactly where this is headed, which has not been my intention making this, but it's OpenClaw is figuring out how to make VOLTTRON into a building automation system. So like what VOLTTRON can be used for is actually the middleware of a building automation system. So any building automation system will have some kind of a driver framework for Modbus, BACnet, which is our most popular one, proprietary protocols for connecting Niagara framework. How about Fox protocol, how you connect a JACE to another JACE? That's a proprietary protocol that's you can even pipe it across the internet. So VOLTTRON can do that too. It uses you can connect a VOLTTRON instance to other VOLTTRON instances across the internet, like a JACE, using it's something similar kind of to MQTT. It's a pub sub kind of like a message and topic type of protocol. It can use ZMQ, which is like MQTT, and there's another one called RabbitQT that VOLTTRON is set up to utilize. So yeah, this just got me thinking of why not? So like, why can't the building automation industry be a group of tinkerers? So if you're anyone like me, I love tinkering, as you can see. So that's all the home automation industry is. The home automation industry is a big group of tinkerers. That's how home assistant community, group of just this enormous public project for people tinkering around in their homes. And I know a commercial building is a little bit different. There's cybersecurity issues. There's an IT guy, that you have to deal with. So like, I think we can be well on the way of, turning building automation, HVAC controls into a tinkering industry, AI assisted, obviously. And I'll show you how. Okay, so right now we're on Vibecode 7. Vibecode app 7. We've gone through all these other ones, including making BACnet servers. So we made like some other projects. If you've been following this channel, we made an app that scrapes the internet and for Open Weather Map API, and then we publish that data. We expose that data on the BACnet network as BACnet objects in a BACnet server. So that was kind of a fun IoT app where we grab data from the internet, and now we have internet-based weather data for the HVAC system, which is kind of cool. That's like a real-world application where the building automation sensors are known to be flimsy and not very installed very well, and getting false readings, which causes HVAC systems to be notoriously go haywire like a little bit. It can. So we're kind of getting into more advanced topics. So now it's just like full on like OpenClaw. So like eventually I want to return to the lessons as soon as like doing these topics kind of die down and we need something to resort back to. So yeah, who is this? Where this is headed? Python BACnet, Edge AI deployed VOLTTRON AI integration, hands-on HVAC controls knowledge, edge computing, AI-driven workflows. Who is this for? HVAC controls technicians who want to learn more advanced topics, scripting, computer science basics, tinkering with cool building stuff, IoT practitioners, anyone who knows BACnet as a field technician, like me, who wants to code in Python and play around with AI. I was trying to think, who is this not for? Would be the inverse of that. Like if you don't want to learn how to code, or you don't believe in AI and you're afraid of AI, don't, go somewhere else. I've seen a lot of videos on the internet about the software engineers on YouTube. A lot of software engineers laid off and don't know what to do with their lives. So I feel bad for like a lot of the people in, these software engineers that are just, they're my age. I'm 42, 43. And, they don't know what to do. They're out of a job because of AI. It's, that's awful. But I don't know. I think these are some exciting times to actually embrace it, and like, there could be opportunities here. So that's what I'm working on exposing and like maximizing. So there's probably a lot of haters, a lot of old farmers and pitchforks, like, what are you doing, shaking up the industry, but screw it. This is, I find this stuff so interesting that, I even do this on the weekend. So it's a Saturday, it's got a little bit of time in the afternoon. So yeah, this stuff is, it's worth getting out of bed for. I think it's, these are really exciting times to be alive. And like this AI industry hasn't hardly put a dent in the building automation industry, yet. So, but I think there are some things here that if there's a community of tinkerers that can come together, perhaps like the home automation industry, even the home assistant industry, why wouldn't you? At least like when I was a building automation technician, I worked for JCI, corporate JCI, which they treated me fine as a field technician, like a lot better than a mechanical contractor did before that. They gave me a van and a cell phone, and I was way happier than, better pay than this mechanical contractor ever treated me before that, starting out. So I was pretty happy. But, like some of these big companies are, like they're, I don't know. I think the technician level people, if you're someone like me that came from the field, like dig into this stuff, start digging in now, like we'll never be out of a job. It's these white collar jobs, that I think that could have, there could be a problem, so let's like embrace the AI, it's, I don't think it'll be putting any technicians out of a job like it has the software engineering world, I find that hard to believe. I think it'll only make things more interesting. If anything, I think that it'll be, I guarantee there has to be more people like me that could like even set this stuff up in a building. Like, why not? It's pretty cool. Like, so when I was on the service side at JCI, which then led to a startup at a local electrical contractor for a tritium JCI effects startup, where so our old Metasys accounts, because the clients liked us, they didn't really care who was servicing the building as long as they liked you, the technician. Like, we would retrofit live buildings piece by piece, air handling unit by air handling unit, cut over these live systems. So like, we were diving into these buildings at the level, they're occupied, controller by controller, retrofitting, spinning wire nuts, gutting panels, ourselves, running cabling, doing everything, very hands-on. So that's like the level of tinkering, that I think like the person that can cut over a live building, retrofit controllers, give these guys some tooling, and just like, do we need to pay $10,000 for some licensed software when you can do this stuff for free? And like, that's what I want to kind of demo, that like, if you have the skills to cut over a live building, there's no fear there what you're going to do. That HVAC, you could drive the HVAC completely manually if you had to, that kind of level of tinkerer. So that's where I'm kind of going with this. So, okay, so here we are. This is an OpenClaw prompt for this model routing policy. So you just drop this right into OpenClaw, you just copy, paste it right in, and it does something behind the scenes where I'm surprised this doesn't happen by default, that it uses complex thinking tasks for more expensive models, and simple models, it does not use these really expensive tasks. So where am I going with this? So here we go. So I've actually moved this down. I still want to do the Rust BACnet stack. That's Justin's project. Get into Wireshark Linux, whatever we need to potentially even learn VOLTTRON. I don't know. So yeah, we'll be doing lots of fun stuff here. So we've started really simple with Back 0, Backpipes 3, did a point discovery app. We also did a little bit, I just realized this is wrong. Oh yeah, no, we do have the calendar schedule object, where we actually found the Backpipes 3, the example application on the Backpipes 3 repository for a BACnet calendar, which I think if we were making a building automation system out of VOLTTRON, that we would need to have that. And if VOLTTRON doesn't have that feature, which it might not, because it's meant for application, I think, more to push data across the internet for IoT purposes, they might have never factored that in, that they'll need a calendar schedule object. But if it doesn't, maybe we could even contribute to VOLTTRON and make it. That's where I'm going with this. So, all right, so here we are, OpenClaw. This is our theory lectures, so we're right down to here, I know. So some of the earlier YouTube videos covered really basic Python. If you have the time to do it, half an hour a day at your lunch, you're on the job, do it. I highly recommend it. And then we'll get into more advanced topics. Maybe even more advanced algorithms. I don't know. I want to cover algorithms. I think like studying data structures and algorithms is really important. Just to study the theory of it, and then using AI to build, which is like the way of the future here. So, okay. So like for anyone that wants to get started with OpenClaw, feel free to ping me on Discord. I can help you. Just hit this, go to the Discord channel, and then yeah, feel free to, if you need any help getting set up with Python, any of this stuff, if you're a building automation technician and you want to get your hands dirty but you need help, I've required a ton of help getting set up in Python, so don't feel bad. I required tons of help getting to where I am now. Maybe I'll include this in the show notes, but if you want to learn a little bit about OpenClaw, there's a ton of YouTube videos on how to get started with it, but you know, this is Adafruit. This is just a company on where to buy Raspberry Pis. Looks like they even have a YouTube video. So maybe just, yeah, Circuit Python. This is where we need to go with this kind of community here, where you can play around with embedded devices. It gets really complicated though once you start getting into BACnet with embedded devices. Oh my God, is it hard? So maybe this is the wrong blog, but there is a blog about using how to get set up with OpenClaw. So it is really easy. You just yeah, there's so much stuff that I'm not even doing yet with OpenClaw. I have demonstrated once chatting with a bot on Discord, which then in my test bench on another Raspberry Pi, I could chat with OpenClaw. So you could have OpenClaw running inside of a building easily. And there's all these different messaging apps that you could use to do a Signal even. Yeah, WhatsApp, Telegram, I know Chat, Google Chat is also supported. So I think if you want to just download OpenClaw, there's a PowerShell command. If you're on Windows, you could just hit that. Like I demonstrated yesterday, Windows App Store, Windows Terminal. Put this on your Windows machine. It makes the PowerShell command prompt look like Linux. I can't even stand PowerShell anymore without it. It's highly recommended. And then I guess you could just run this, but there is a way. There's actually I know there's a way. I'd download like a .exe file, but you could just hit this and then open up another terminal, Windows terminal. And then just paste. Probably hard to see, but I just pasted that in, and you just hit the button, and then OpenClaw will install itself. But then you still have to go through bootstrapping it. Just reach out to me if you need any help. I have a $20 a month ChatGPT subscription, which then it uses this codex feature of OpenAI. So I'm authenticated into OpenAI through my Google, and then it just authenticates itself right on OpenClaw through this. It'll open up the browser and then it authenticates itself. And then I still have to watch this 5-hour usage limit. So okay, enough with that. Let's get to the fun stuff. Okay, so what did I asked OpenClaw to make a lightweight building automation system. So what did we do? So yesterday we proved that we could set up OpenClaw with we proved that we could set up OpenClaw, that OpenClaw can set up VOLTTRON really easily, and I had it build a dashboard for VOLTTRON. So VOLTTRON, let's see, so if we go to the VOLTTRON docs, it actually cloned version 9 of VOLTTRON. So if you want to read a little bit about it, there's something about agents. It gets really complicated though, and it might be something we just have to play around with and get used to it. So this is the agent framework. So an agent is something, yesterday when I demonstrated, it created a a little application within itself that can save BACnet data to a CSV file locally. You could create an agent to do anything. In the research company I used to work at, I used to create VOLTTRON agents to do demand response research. You could do, guideline 36, anything your mind can imagine. You create a process. Just think of a wire sheet on a JACE. If you're doing something to the HVAC, some algorithm, shearing outside air temperature, whatever, a wire sheet logic on a JACE, you're doing Python on it as a VOLTTRON agent. And OpenClaw just made it for us, which is kind of mind-boggling. It gets into Linux hardening. This is the BACnet server. This is all these core services that it supports: MQTT, SQL, 2030.5. That's like a solar panel industry protocol. DNP3. Lots of cool stuff. It also has a web framework. So this web framework is what OpenClaw used to create. Python code to make a web application. It used to make this. So OpenClaw just made all of the HTML, all of the JavaScript, all of the CSS, very minimal. This is just a static web page it just made newbie level web code. There's not much to it. It's just an HTML file with vanilla JavaScript. There's not even like a fancy JavaScript library or anything. It's just vanilla JavaScript running here. If you had a really light BAS, here's the light mode or dark mode. My two fake test bench devices that we demonstrated 500,000 times on this YouTube channel. So these are these guys right here. So VOLTTRON there's 3 Raspberry Pis. VOLTTRON is running on 1 Raspberry Pi, and then this is and so you can see that here. So the Boss Pi, that's running VOLTTRON. There's the fake VAV and fake air handling unit. So some building automation system. Let's pretend this is a really small building, like a small office, retail, big gas station, who knows, big restaurant, I don't know. So maybe even a small school. So we would just have an equipment tree, so we can read our devices are online, points, it's polling and alarms. So what OpenClaw also did is it set up alarming for us under the hood, where this needs to be improved. We want it to be we want to see what the alarm logic is and everything like that. So it made VOLTTRON agents under the hood to do alarms for us, and it's also retaining data. So this is almost like a soft JACE, like a soft supervisory level controller, and all made by AI, custom web page and everything. So to me, if I was retrofitting a really little building, and you don't need much, for a really little building, I need to give it, I can adjust some set points. So like this one I was playing around with, that I adjusted the airflow set point on the VAV box. Let's send it to, first of all, let's check. Here's the VAV, like we've done a bazillion times before already on this YouTube channel. Okay, so 1,000, it took it. So if I would, let's try this one. See a little pop-up message that it confirmed that it took that. And then, all right, yeah, so it did take that. The only thing I'm kind of wondering if it has the ability to release. I just thought of that now. Let's try null. Actually, I don't think we have to build that ability. So we can write to the BACnet to override a set point, but we need to be able to release it. So what else are some features we should build into this? Alarm logic. So this is all done with OpenClaw chat. Trend setup. all this stuff right here, OpenClaw chat. At some point in the future, we would want to do alarm notifications, like if some pump dies or motor or whatever. If it's really important, dial out that email notification, SMTP setup, so I think we can build this. I'm totally confident. I feel really happy with just what this is at the moment. I see this guy didn't update up here, but I think like the next steps that I want to do with this is rewrite this in a more fancy front-end library called React. Make it a little bit more official and fancy. Also, we need this read, write, and release feature. And then also, we need to build in, let me just open up Workbench here. We also need to build in a generic equipment scheduling widget in a way then to be able to see all of the agents underneath of that. So if we have agents that would be doing alarms, trends, email dial out, perhaps we need another one that is sharing the outside air temperature from the boiler sensor to the air handling units, whatever, typical global outside air temperature. Any kind of logic, using AI to create it in a VOLTTRON agent would be, it should be able to easily do this too. So let me just share you this last feature. So what I mean by like the generic equipment schedule, the last piece of the pie here is, that's optimal start. So here, so like we could make in JavaScript some front-end feature like this, where this will be the air handling unit schedule for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, generic weekly calendar widget to run equipment, and then also special events for holidays. Gosh, I think if we build that and all of this hunky-dory stuff, like wow, that will be a full-blown building automation system, like a supervisory level only, small building kind of application is where I'm going. So yeah, this is fun. And then also keep in mind that where are we here? So I just wanted to say that this is all getting backed up on here as model context. So you'll be able to just say OpenClaw, go to this URL, surf through all of this information here, and tell me, make me a supervisory controller through the chat, and it'll do it. It'll probably take it like an hour or two. Go out for lunch, run the Walmart, whatever you have to do, and come back, and you'll have a supervisory controller, and free too. So that's where I'm going with this project. So that'll be the next project I want to do, is the more advanced React with reverse caddy proxy. So like this will be a more bulletproof version of what I was able to demonstrate today, that OpenClaw just made a building automation system. It took it a little while. As you can see, I dragged my cursor. I had to push it a little bit to make what I want. But yeah, there's no way, if I got this far, I'm not stopping. So hope you guys like this. I'm also want to tie this into, at some point in time, the Open FDD project. So this will be coming to where if to be able to run fault detection equations across your made-up building automation system, it'll all come together kind of cool, all orchestrated by AI, by OpenClaw. So hope you guys are liking this as much as I am. Exciting times to be alive. So I'll talk to you later. Have a good weekend.